Alright, this is Kratos with part 2 of the starting Smite the Kratos way. Today I'll be going over Joust. I'll give you a little more details. I'll also give you sort of a rundown at the beginning, middle, and end game. This is a short match because, again, this is the practice match they make you play in the tutorial. But I'll try to do a few things here to kind of show you some of the things you need to look at when you're playing on this map. So, starting off today, I believe I'll be playing Ra. Ra is a mage. Mages in Conquest are usually mid lane. Mages are good for burst damage. Ra also is very good for healing, and also he's got a line attack that pretty early on he can pretty much clear the entire wave. You might notice, again, this is a Smurf account, meaning this is an account that's not my normal account. This is an account that I got on another profile and started over. If any of you Dragon Ball Z fans are laughing, that might be because that name is SSGSS Hercule, which would be Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Hercule, which of course Hercule is not a Saiyan, but still I thought it was kind of funny to put together. Again, this is the lane, this is the mana camp. A lot of times if you're playing with real people, you're gonna clear both of these camps, and the attack buff camp, which is over here, will probably be contested. In fact, sometimes people will go here first. I put a ward here, and I put a ward behind that wall because one of the things that happened to me a lot as a beginner was that somebody playing an assassin would basically come around that wall and hit everybody from behind, and since nobody was calling out any strategy, I had no idea what was going on. So this again is a single lane. We have a little bit of jungle to the right, a little bit of jungle to the left. I'll get to the main jungle objective towards probably the end of the match. But to start out the game, you're basically going to clear and poke. If you get the chance and one of your enemies is out of position, then by all means, see if you can pounce. Of course, the idea is just like in Conquest, you want to take out the tower, take out the Phoenix, and take down the Titan. But with a single lane, you don't have to do as much jungling. This is great lane practice. There's another mode that's called Assault, that's also one lane, but it doesn't really have any the minions there. It's just really different. I mean, it's more of a test on how well you know the gods because they're random, and it has a lot of curveballs they throw at you. You can't go back to the base and all that stuff. So, like I said, early game, I tend to like to go because unlike Conquest, you start at level 1, and Joust, you start at level 3. So I usually like to do, for my first 4 levels, I like to, at least for the first time, I put 2 points into my main damage ability, and then I put 1 point into either a heal. In this case, I did the heal. If you're an assassin, a hunter, you might want to do one of your dashes, because a lot of times your mobility abilities, you'll probably put 1 point into it and probably never level it up until the end. So I put 2 points into my line damage ability. It gives you a leg up on both the minions, and a lot of times your opponents, especially ones that don't know what they're doing, will just put 1 point each. But with 2 points in the damaging ability, you're going to have extra damage compared to theirs. But of course, when you get your ultimate, that level 5, you get your ultimate, put that point in there. In Smite, actually, some ultimates you don't want to necessarily level up every time. It just depends on the ultimate. If it's a big damaging ultimate like Ra's, yes, by all means. But some other ones that are more utility based, you really don't need it. So you can actually level up the rest of your abilities and get that big damage off before leveling up your ultimate. Now this is the mana camp. With the mana camp, you're going to gain MP5. MP5 is magic or mana per 5 seconds. There's also a stat HP 5, which of course is health per 5 seconds. But the mana camp will give you HP 5 and also will lower your cooldowns. Which sometimes people forget that. People think it's just extra mana and mana per 5 and all that stuff. But it actually does lower your cooldowns a bit. And depending on the god, you might use it. In fact, it's weird because when you think mana, you think mages. But in Conquest, the mana buff is actually on the solo side, which is usually where warriors do battle. So they take that MP5 into it. I've taken a ward. I'm going over here. This is called the Bull Demon King. And towards the middle of the match, I usually like to put a ward over there because if you say your enemy, say you're doing really good, your enemy just happens to wipe out your team, they may end up trying to go for the Bull Demon King. Also, I've had times where towards the late of the match, you're doing good, you're not being wiped out and stuff, but when you weren't looking, your enemy hunter has decided to go over and solo that thing. Because what the Bull Demon King does is it gets you some HP 5, MP 5, and stuff like that, but it also disables your structures, at least in your towers and your phoenixes. Meaning, they don't fire at you, which means you don't have to wait on the minions. In fact, what sometimes can happen is if you don't pay attention, a hunter can go solo it, and then when you think you're doing good taking out the enemy's phoenix, all of a sudden you realize they've taken down your tower and your phoenix. And there's a lot of backdoor strategies when it comes to Joust. You saw the power buff earlier. Of course, you pretty much know what that is. It gives you more power, physical or magical, depending on the god. Okay, as you're getting into mid-game, you're basically starting. You really want to push the structures down. That's your mid-game. You're looking at killing your enemy team so that you can get some free time to destroy their towers, destroy their phoenixes. Mid-late game, you're looking at maybe getting an early Bull Demon King, depending on your levels, depending on the characters you pick. Because you gotta realize there are 4 classes: Warrior, Guardian, Mage, Assassin, and Hunter. In a 3v3 situation like Joust, you're going to have to sacrifice some stuff. Now, you're almost always going to want at least somebody to pick a warrior or a guardian to be a tank. And you're always going to probably want a hunter. Hunters are very late game oriented, but believe me, I've seen a 2-hunter warrior or guardian just take down an entire well-balanced team. Because even though they were losing through most of it, they hit late game, they got their crit and lifesteal online, and all of a sudden they were unstoppable. So when you get the chance, you may also try to invade their mana buffs and keep them from getting their buffs. Because sometimes those will definitely help in team fights, and if you can keep them from getting that, that's just another advantage your team can have. You definitely want to be careful, especially early game, because since it's 3v3, 1 or 2 deaths early could really feed the team. Now, you hear that term, feed. That means that you're dying to the enemy team means you're feeding the team, because every time you die, they get a lot of experience. And all of a sudden, they've got extra levels on your team, and you've got lower levels. And when you get behind, no matter what items you have, even if you're not behind too much in gold, which you probably will be, no items in the world are going to be able to help overcome that gap of both the level, so you have less power, less health, less mana, on top of your abilities not being leveled up. Because every time you level up your abilities, you usually get more damage, less cooldown. You get more. Your utility gets stronger. Stuns will go longer. So we're pretty much in late game. We're about to win this. Basically, with Raw, he's got 2 major line abilities, and when you're fighting computers, they tend to line up. So both instances they did. So this is pretty much just taking down. Again, you just want the minions to go in there and tank it. Make sure you don't get hit too much. Don't unleash it for too long if you can help it. It will recover HP, but of course, dying is worse. So this time this part 2 is decided just to be the Joust. I had both the Joust and the arena set up, but it had been over 30 minutes. It'd be close to 40 minutes. I didn't want to do that, so I've done the Joust this time. Next time, when you come and see part 2 or part 3 of starting Smite the Kratos way. We'll get into Arena. We'll do kind of the same thing, kind of give you a blow by blow, all the camps, what to do in the early game, mid game, and late game. I talk builds more, but as you can see, I mean, we pretty much got this beat, and I'm only 3 items in, not counting the blessing. So yeah, there we are. That's a victory. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe below. Turn on those notifications. I'm going to be trying to do a video a day if I can. So I'll see you next time when we do Arena. Kratos out.